How's it going, my truant people? Dr. Slacking, the Slacking Doctor, back on Pokemon Showdown for week 7, I believe, of the LTC. That's a low-tier championship. This week we're going up against my man, Dreadful Dragonite. And currently we are not doing super well in the LTC. I think it's week 7. I believe it's week 7. I believe we are currently 2 wins to 4 losses going into week 7. We've had a bit of bad luck. It's been a little bit difficult for the Lake District Spirits, but we've put in some good performances. We have a nice draft. We're going up against my man Dreadful Dragonite, who's taken over Foss's team here in the LTC. It's a super nice team, but it's not a team that really suits his style, so we're really optimistic in this game that we can try and get something. Dreadful Dragonite is up in one of those playoff spots at the moment. So to try and catch him, it's really important to get a win here, albeit he's not in our conference or our division, but the divisions don't matter too much in playoffs in this league. Only the top 2 really matter division-wise. So this is kind of one of those big 6-pointer games, if you like, where we're going up against a direct rival for those playoff spots. And we are an outside chance of playoffs, I would say. Well, not an outside chance, but we need to get back to winning ways in the next few weeks if we're going to get in the playoffs. So with that being sort of all taken on board, if we can try and go 3-4 with a win this week, that would be fantastic. I'm going to kind of talk about his team first, what I expected him to bring, what I brought, and then we'll jump into battle. As always, guys, I'm going to try and make this as quick as possible because I think I take too long on this usually. So, we're actually not going to zoom in. We're going to stay big up here because I think that's going to be the easiest way. Hopefully you guys can see it all properly. If you guys need me to zoom in a bit more next time, then let me know. But I think this way will be a bit faster. So here we have the Togetic. This is his best defog option in my opinion. His best forms are removed. He does a few, but I think this is the best one. I expected a very physically bulky set to try and handle my Sork particularly. This is a great Sork switch in on, say, a close combat or something. With defog, Dazzling Gleam, Baton Pass, Roost. This could have included things like Nasty Plot. It could have had Air Slash. It could have had Toxic. Baton Pass was probably the least likely move of all of these. It's a move that I would run because I like momentum. But I think if Dragonite was going to run Baton Pass, he would run it alongside Nasty Plot, so you could try and pass those boosts into something, say, like the Jolteon or the Gothitelle or the Ludicolo. If you can see that, I don't know quite where the screen cuts off. We might have to zoom in on the bottom Pokemon, actually, to make sure you can see those. But, yes, we'll do that just in case, so ignore my first point. Moving on, Munchlax. I expected Munchlax to be his kind of special wall, his switch into, say, a Boom Burst Swallow. But even more than that, I expected it to be kind of a setup sweeper in the bulky sense, with kind of like a Curse, Rest, Sleep Talk set. I did learn that Facade doesn't work with this Sleep Talk and Sleep. However, it could make sense if it was going to get poisoned. Potentially I would want to Toxic this thing to wear it down, so I could still see him running Facade. It's still a base 70 stab move, so it's not awful. But Return was just as likely on here. This was a set that I was almost certain he would bring if he brought Munchlax. It just makes the most sense when you get to +1 or +2 defense. With its natural Spadef boosted by the Eviolite to around 130-ish, it becomes really, really bulky. 130 defense, 130 HP, sorry, 130 Spadef, and then a +2 defense save after a couple of curses. That thing is going to be so tanky. So we had to be really careful of Munchlax. I actually thought Munchlax got immunity, much like Snorlax, until I went to build this team here to show you guys. So in the battle, I will talk about that. I played around it as though it was immunity a little bit, or at least that thought went through my head. But I thought Thick Fat was most likely anyway. But immunity could have been there, if it even had access to immunity, which it doesn't. Only Snorlax does, but that was just a kind of misguided thought on my part. I kind of expected Gothitelle to have potentially similar set to Munchlax. I expected it to be one of 2 things. So here we see it's a Calm Mind set with Toxic and Taunt. I don't think that would be what he would run. So I thought it might be like Psyshock, Calm Mind, Rest, Sleep Talk, for example, with the Psychic EMZ, potentially with the Psychic Stab. However, I also could see it being a support set without the Calm Mind, with like Toxic and Taunt, Magic Cloak maybe, but unlikely. What was we thinking? Maybe Trick, potential Trick Scarfer, to try and nullify some of my bulkier mons like Blastoise or Licky Licky. So yeah, there was a few things he could have done here, but a Heal Bell as well if it was going to be his kind of Cleric. But I expected either a bulky, I expected physically defensive for sure, same as Togetic, to kind of switch into that Sork. But I thought that it would maybe be either a setup sweeper set in the same way that Munchlax would be, or a supportive set with like Heal Bell, Cleric options, Taunt options, that kind of thing. I was kind of worried about a competitive set. If I potentially defogged on it, I had to be careful of that. So I was always watching out for the Frisk popping to see if that happened. Next up, we had Jolteon. And Jolteon I expected to come as a revenge killer for Swallow. I didn't want to run Scar Swallow here. I wanted to run Spec Swallow. I thought it had such a good matchup that I was really worried about revenge killing Jolteon. Life Orb just made a lot of sense. I expected to have something along the lines of Thunderbolt, Synchronoise, Toxic, Volt Switch. Synchronoise and Toxic, either of those could be swapped out for, say, HP Water to hit Camerupt, or Hyper Voice to just hit things neutrally. Synchronoise seemed like a really good play to me because it could hit the Pachirisu, which could come in as a Volt Absorb set and be fairly bulky against it. Hyper Voice wouldn't do too much with Pachirisu's natural bulk, so I did think Synchronoise was a possibility. Maybe HP Ground, but I thought HP Water, because that was 4 times effective against the Camerupt, of course, would make a lot of sense too. I definitely thought either Toxic or HP Water would come so that he could hit the Camerupt and the Mud Spray. Next up, Ludicolo. Now this is one of his 2 Rain Sweepers that Dean kind of drafted on his like soft weather core. This thing could have been Life Orb too, it could have been any number of things, but Damp Rock to get the extra rain turns does make sense as well. Hydro Pump, Giga Drain, Ice Beam, Rain Dance. The set speaks for itself. It could run other things, you know, it could run Energy Ball if it wanted more powerful Grass Stab. This thing has such good Spadef though that Giga Drain's quite nice. Well, not such good Spadef, but sometimes you see it run. If, say, Kabutops set up the rain, it could have a Salt Vest set with Giga Drain to really boost that Spadef. There's different ways. But yeah, this is a pretty cool one. I did expect it to come. It didn't have the best matchup, but it's just one of his Weather Sweepers, so I thought it was pretty likely. And then last up, we have Kabutops, kind of the physical Weather Sweeper, the counterpart to the special Ludicolo. This thing hits like a truck. Where this thing has that little bit extra bulk, this thing really has the firepower. The 115 attack, that does hurt in this format. That really does hurt. This could easily have been like a choice band set or anything else to try and take advantage of Ludicolo's Rain. Stone Edge Liquidation. Aquajet probably didn't make the most sense, actually, thinking about it. I was really stupidly, even in the game, and I'll discuss that when we get there, prepping around the fact that this thing got Earthquake. You can see here, this thing does not get Earthquake. I didn't realize until I went to put it in here that it didn't get Earthquake. So that was really, really stupid. I don't think he would run Aquajet, actually. That was probably not right. Maybe Superpower. That's what I thought he would run. So this was this kind of set I was expecting, just a physical attacker. Oh, I think we got through that relatively quickly. I don't think that was too bad. So let's move on. And without my glasses as well, I forgot to wear them and I didn't realize until I started recording. And now I can't see anything. But I think we did okay. I don't think I misread anything. So let's get into the team that I brought. And kicking it off, shout out first off, I forgot to say, I kind of downplayed my boy Dreadful Dragonite at the start of this video. This is not just any old opponent. This is one of my best friends here in the community. Dreadful Dragonite is a great, great content creator. He currently has a Pokemon Insurgence, I think it is, Nuzlocke going on, but I could be wrong there. And an Ultra Sun randomizer going on as well. So he's one of the guys that is running those clean Citra graphics. His channel is looking fresh right now. He's got some awesome stuff going on over there. So definitely go and check that out. He does... I don't know if he posts this league, but he does post draft league content as well. So make sure you check him out. His link will be down in the description. And Dragonite, you're probably watching. If your link isn't down in the description, shout at me because you know what I'm like. I do forget sometimes. Anyway, moving on. Shout out again to my boy Blind Messiah, aka Sean, for helping me build this. I do now have an official front office who kind of helped me build. Sean helped me with this week because it was kind of in a blind rush to get this one done. And we decided we were going to run a Sweeper Sork, a late game cleaner Sork with Z Sunny Day. The idea being I wore everything down with Swallow in particular, then I set up a Sunny Day at the end of the game, got to +1 speed, got rid of his Rain with that Sunny Day, and just swept through everything. I thought it was a really cool set and a really good way to sweep. Close Combat, Poison Jab, Earthquake, pretty much hit his whole team. I would need some chip on some things, like the Gothitelle potentially. Maybe a little bit on the Togetic, maybe a little bit on the Ludi, but for the most part I could at least punch through the vast majority of his team with, you know, chip throughout the game. I just had to lure the right things to get this thing in sweeping position. We ran Mold Breaker, I believe, for Wheezing, so that we could hit that with the Earthquake. And the great thing about running Fire Emblem Z Sunny Day is that we get to be fast and we get to be adamant, which is awesome because that damage output just goes so high with that base 125 attack adamant. It's incredible. And you know, Sork isn't terribly frail with those 75 defenses across the board. It's not the worst. It's not the best by any means, but it's not the worst. Usually we'd have sturdy, but we wanted to make sure we could hit that wheezing. We're skipping ahead. And now here is the kind of main Pokemon this week. Mariabella. I haven't done Mariabella justice. Let's get this out here now. There's a few Pokemon in this draft. We are 2 and 4, I think I said. I think we're 2 and 4. So I haven't done Mariabella justice, I haven't done Blastoise justice, I haven't done Sceptile justice, I haven't done Licky justice. I really want to prove that these Pokemon that I drafted and this draft that I have is a good draft and they can put in work. So this week, Swellow is very much the main Pokemon. I apologize if you heard that noise. Someone's phone's going off. I think it's my girlfriend's phone. But anyway, we are running a Specs Boomba set. Basically just to punch through his team. That is all this thing is supposed to do. It's just supposed to be an absolute wall breaker. It comes in against something it's faster than and can kill. Clicks Booms Burst and he picks his sack essentially. It 2-hit KOs pretty much everything on his draft. The only things it doesn't really 2-hit KO are maybe Spadef Gothitelle, maybe Spadef Togetic, but even then it probably comes close and I'm expecting both those to be Fizz Def anyway. There isn't a lot else that lives 2 Boom Bursts from this thing. However, whilst I did expect this thing to get loads of kills in this game, I realised that Jolteon was such an easy revenge kill on it that I needed to have lots of good switch-ins to Jolteon. You know, potentially 6 good switch-ins to Jolteon or whatever. 6 times switching it anyway, is what I mean to say. So next up, by the way, Hurricane is just for stab. I didn't expect to click anything at any point other than Boom Burst. I could have clicked U-turn for momentum, but he had no good switch-ins, so why would I need momentum? The best way to get momentum is to bring this in on something it can kill and click Boom Burst, and that's exactly what I plan to do. Toxic again if I wanted to wear something down, but I'm rushing through this set because Boom Burst is all that matters, and we got to have a lot of HP because of the speed tiers, which is really, really super nice. Something is flying around me. Sorry about that, guys. I've got the window open in here because it's so hot and all the lights and the lamp and everything on and I'm already sweating. But mosquitoes are just flying in. Where I live now is so... Basically, I live near the Lake District, which is exactly what it sounds. It's a load of lakes and it's also really near the coast. So it's really, really humid and muggy, and what that means is mosquitoes are everywhere. I've never lived in a place near water. That might sound stupid, but I've always lived very much inland in the centre of the Midlands. So now living near a coastal and lake kind of area, the bugs are just driving me insane. There are mosquitoes everywhere. Not that you care, but that's a little bit about my life. Anyway, moving on. What was I saying? Yeah, we had a little bit of bulk in this thing, which is super nice, because the only thing we needed to outspeed was not Jolteon. It was... I don't know. Don't know, but it was something. Anyway, I can't remember. Let's move on. Let's just keep going. So as I said, I needed switch-ins because Jolteon was such a good revenge killer for Mariabella. I needed to switch something into it, and Sceptile seemed like a really good start. AV Sceptile with Leaf Blade for stab to also hit things like the Kabutops. Earthquake to hit the Jolteon. Pursuit to try and Pursuit Trap that Gothitelle we thought could be fun. And Quick Attack just to pick things off. Quick Attack could be really useful here, especially against, say, a weakened Jolteon, so that we don't have to take any chip damage. I did think Jolteon could have HP Ice as well to hit this thing, or Hyper Voice, as I've already said, which would chunk this down. So Quick Attack was just there to get a bit more damage on it if we needed to. Again, we could run it relatively bulky because of the speeds. I'm guessing this was hitting 350 as well. Yeah, here we go, 350. So something was at 349. So yeah, that's why we have that, an Overgrow, so that we get a more powerful Leaf Blade if we get down into Overgrow range, which would be super nice. This set was, you know, base 85 Spadef isn't terrible, so throwing that AV on, boosting it up to around 130 again, I think 120. Just makes it a little bit bulky to take those hits from the Jolteon, especially those resisted Thunderbolts, or potential Volt Switch. And if he Volt Switched into certain things, we could maybe, you know, get some damage off there with the Leaf Blade. And then this Isaac set, our Licky was kind of a sweeper in the same way that his Munchlax was. I find it weird calling these bulky Curse Mon sweepers, but I assume that is what you call them. If I'm saying this wrong, if these Mons where you just Curse, Rest, Sleep, Talk up, and try and beat through his whole team, if they're not sweepers, then I apologise, but like setup sweepers, but I feel like they are. I don't know. Basically, with Max Spadef, we took absolutely nothing from any of his special Pokemon. Even like Z moves from like Gothitelle just did nothing. And once we got to +1 defense, Kabutops couldn't two-shot us with superpower, and that was his best physical way of breaking Licky on his whole draft. So I basically felt like this could have come in turn 1. let's say he led Jolteon as a Volt Switch Mon, I could have clicked Curse on that, and it was GG from there. I could just keep cursing and resting up and potentially sweep his whole team. The only reason that I didn't do that was because it was risky. We tried doing that really early against Quillfish, and it completely backfired. So I didn't try and do that early in this game. I saw it was more of a late game sweeper after Mariabella had punched some holes. Last up we have, no, not last up, the penultimate Pokemon here, we have Pachirisu. I don't believe Pachirisu's come at all. We have nicknamed this Tyson after Sajin Park's Pachirisu winning the VGC World Championships however many years ago, one of the first VGC games I ever watched. In retrospect, I didn't watch it live or anything. But I thought that was always so cool that he had a Pachirisu win the World Championships that in-game I always nicknamed him Tyson. So that's what we have here. Nuzzle, Superfang, Volt Switch, U-Turn. I am convinced this is the best set for the electric rodents, no matter which one it is, other than Nasty Plot, Baton Pass with Minun and Blistle. For the most part, I am convinced this is absolutely the best set for pretty much all of the electric rodents. They don't need to do anything, and this is why I think Pachirisu is arguably the best electric rodent. People are going to hound me in the comment sections for saying that, but I don't care. It's the bulkiest, and so in a way, that kind of makes it the best, because it can actually take a hit and dish out these Super Fangs, Nuzzles, spread paralysis around, whittle things down with Super Fang, and that's all it needs to do. That is a great support option, in my opinion. We decided to run Shuckerberry for Earthquake Kabutops, which, as I said before, it doesn't even get Earthquake, so the Shuckerberry was completely pointless, but, you know, HP Ground Jolteon could have been a thing, not that it would have done a lot, but at least we would have took it even better. The Spadef investment was just because I had speed crept something, done the HP and had some leftovers, so I put it in Spadef, I believe. And again, the Calm Nature, just to make the most of that natural Spadef bulk. This, again, just like Fern, is a great switch into Jolteon. So even if Fern got worn down throughout the game from potential HP Ice reads from the Jolteon or Hyper Voices or something, we could still go into Tyson later on and just Super Fang it, essentially. Super Fang and then U-turn out of there. And then last up, our last Pokemon and our last Jolteon switching. You can kind of see how this team works. 2 setup sweepers, 1 wall breaker, and 3 switch-ins to the Revenge Killer. That's literally is a very simple build here. This Hitmon was supposed to get Stealth Rocks up as early as possible so that Mariabella's breaking potential, I guess, could be absolutely optimized. Taking, you know, for example, Togetic, which could potentially live 2 Boom Bursts. It taking Rocks damage means that I don't think it would ever take 2 Boom Bursts very well. So Stealth Rocks became even more important here. Lava Plume for Stab. It doesn't really hit too much on his draft, I guess. I can't quite remember if there was any steals or anything I was trying to break with it. I'm not sure. Although we had Earth Power too, actually, so probably not. Earth Power and Pasho Berry, because there was, I believe, with this physical defense investment, I did take a non-rain boosted liquidation from Kabutops. Solid rock ability, of course. Taking a little bit off that super effective damage, albeit 4 times weakness. And it also meant we could take a HP Water from Jolteon. So, say Jolteon came out, wanted to Thunderbolt the Mariabella. We could bring in Camera Up, take that HP Water, and get our Rocks up still against the Jolteon if he went for the bold prediction there. I believe we could at least anyway. It was a little while since I built these sets. And the Modest Nature, even though we don't have max special attack, just to dish out some hits and some power with these moves. So yeah, really Scrub was here to get those Rocks up, and that was its primary focus. Whew. All that being said, guys, let's jump into the battle. Here we are in the battle, guys. And as you can see, he brought kind of a lot of the things we were expecting, apart from Alolan Dugtrio, which... No, because that still gets hit by Earth Power. That's not why we brought Lava Bloom. I don't know why we brought Lava Bloom. So yeah, we've got the Alolan Dugtrio coming instead of the Ludicolo, which surprised me. But then when I thought about it, it didn't overly surprise me because I know Dragonite likes to play very offensive, and this is just a fast, relatively hard-hitting Mon. So it makes sense that he would want to do that. That being said, I looked at this team and I just thought Mariabella eats here. Munchlax maybe can take 2 Boom Bursts. Gothitelle maybe can take 2 Boom Bursts. Togetic maybe can. But Gothitelle does not get good recovery. Munchlax does not get good recovery. Both of them have to click Rest. And Togetic doesn't want to come in on Rocks. So to me, Mariabella just matched up so nicely here. And for that exact reason, I decided to lead with Mariabella. The only bad lead for me would be if he led Jolteon, which indeed he did, but that was fine because I had ready-made switch-ins, and I thought, well, I want to get my Rocks up. Scrub is the most expendable switch-in I had, so I went out and he actually clicked the Hyper Voice, which took me a little bit by surprise, but it was a good read on his part, knowing that I wouldn't stay in with Mariabella. So we do get our Rocks up against the Munchlax coming in, and then we go for the Toxic to Scout, because I figured that, hey, he's just brought this in on a Camerupt. Yes, he's probably predicting an Earth Power to hit the Jolteon, but would you bring this in on a Camerupt if it wasn't Thick Fat? I'm pretty sure this thing's Thick Fat, not Immunity. I now know with hindsight that Munchlax doesn't even get Immunity, but the way he brought it in on Camerupt made me confident it was Thick Fat, so that's why I clicked Toxic, even though I was afraid of Immunity. It's a whole thing. I would love to lie to you guys and be like, I knew it wasn't, but I didn't know. I thought it could have been. So I got the Toxic off, and this puts me in a really nice position here, because I know that basically with 2 of the Toxic damages on this thing, I can go into with 1 turn of Toxic damage, I can go into Pachirisu, it takes another turn of Toxic damage. I live any one hit it might want to dish out at this point still. I can then Super Fang it down, and the next bit of Toxic damage guarantees put it in range of Swellow. So this thing, although a potentially hugely scary mon, because I know it's packing Rest, if I go into Pachirisu right now, it's completely nullified. There's nothing he can do. He either has to kill Pachirisu, or he has to let me keep Super Fanging him down. Either way, I'm happy. So I do indeed go just hard into Pachirisu here, saving Scrub for later in the game if I want to bring it in on Jolteon again. He goes for the Body Slam. As you see, that is 51, but we know we outspeed, so it's not an issue. We Super Fang here, and the next Toxic damage will guaranteed put him in range of Mariabella. If he decided to rest, that's fine, because I could have Super Fanged again the next turn. Instead, he does the Body Slam, and at 23%, there's no way he's living, even with max Spadef. So we go into Mariabella here, and we guarantee pretty much a kill on something. We do get the crit, but the crit really doesn't matter, and he has no switch-ins. So the Munchlax drops, and he goes out into the Togetic here. And after the Rocks damage, I decide to just click Boom Burst and see how much it does. As you can see, it does 45%. The reason that I did that is all he could do is Toxic me. Nothing else really hurt me. Air Slash didn't really hurt me. Dazzling Gleam didn't really hurt me. His best play was Toxic. And realistically, Mariabella is supposed to stay in for 2 turns at a time. It's supposed to come in, click Boom Burst, kill whatever's in front of it, or kill whatever switches in on it in 2 hits. So Toxic doesn't rack up very much in 2 turns. I could just keep spamming that, and Toxic wouldn't really matter. I'm never ever supposed to take a hit with Mariabella. So, as I say, I just fire off the Boom Burst. We do 45%, and he actually goes for the Defog. I don't know quite if he thought he would scare me out, or if I wouldn't be able to do that much to him. But that means that we do 2-shot him with the Boom Burst, proving that the rocks were essential. And here he goes out into the Kabutops. Didn't expect this. I really expected to see the Jolteon come in here. And this kind of put me in a tricky situation, because I didn't expect Kabutops to be the revenge killer for Mariabella. It doesn't outspeed me, and it does take massive damage from Boom Burst. So I was a little bit confused by this. I thought, is he AV Kabutops? Why would you go into this? Is he just trying to scare me out and set up the rain? And that seemed the most likely option, is that he was trying to set up the rain on my switch and sweep through the rest of my team, and I didn't want that to happen at all. I didn't have a great switch into this thing. I mean, Sork would have taken the Stone Edge, sure, but if he got a rain up, I would have to then use my Fire EMZ already, and I wasn't in a position where I could sweep through his whole team yet. Gothitelle hadn't taken enough damage for Sork to sweep, and I didn't want to lose one of my best sweepers this early. We're only on turn 9 at this point, of course. So I decided to just stay in and Boom Burst. Mariabella has done its job. If you look at his team, everything else can be handled by Licky Licky or Sork. Licky Licky in particular, I think, can sweep from this range. So I do just click the Boom Burst, and we actually get 56%, and I'm expecting him to get his rain here, but I'm not too concerned. He actually Stone Edges me down, and I think, well, that's okay, that's fine, because now I can go into Sork, I outspeed this thing, and I kill it. So I'm not too worried. I fire off an Earthquake, because that way, even if he goes into Gothitelle, he takes massive damage, and of course Jolteon and Dugtrio just drop to an Earthquake. He does go into Gothitelle here, and I can just go back into Licky Licky. Perfect here. Cloud9, of course, Licky Licky was for his rain. I forgot to mention that in the team builder. And you can see that Psychic does 17%. We get most of that back with leftovers, to be honest. And at this point, I can just start cursing. But he goes for the sub. And I got a little bit spooked at this point, because I thought, Jesus, this is sub Calm Mind. I don't want him to set up on me. So I'm going to have to break his sub this turn and go for the big return. It was just my best play. As he fires off a Toxic, and that made me feel a hell of a lot better, because I'm like, okay, the fact he's Toxic me means that he's probably not Calm Mind, so he can go for his sub all he wants, and I'm just going to keep setting up, and eventually I'll rest off this Toxic, and then he just won't be able to touch me. So we go for a Curse here, and we're going to go for a Curse again this turn to see what happens. I know that I can guaranteed live Shattered Psyche plus Toxic damage. In fact, no, we don't. We just get a return to scout for the Calm Mind again, I think, just in case. I think I was just being extra careful there. But we still live the Psychic after the Shattered Psyche, so I know we're okay. And we can just rest it all off, and it's fine. He hasn't got any Calm Minds off or anything like that, so I feel really secure. But he actually clicks the Calm Mind as soon as I go to sleep. Fortunately, I do click Sleep Talk just to be safe. I didn't see the point in saving PP or anything like that. Jolteon and Dugtrio were never going to PP stall me, but we get Curse, where I would have liked to have got Return. He does misclick or misplay here on Toxic, thinking that I'll wake up, I think. We press Sleep Talk and get another Curse. That Toxic turn really didn't matter, because even at +1, he wouldn't have done anything to me. Even if he'd gone to +2 and then Psychicked me here, he would have had to crit to do anything. So whilst I know he was really frustrated with that Toxic play, it wasn't the end of the world. The only way it changed anything was if he got a crit, and I still had my full HP Sork to come in and sweep at the end, so it would have been fine. And Licky Licky here is free to clear up. As you see, that Earthquake at +3 defense did 30% to us. It did literally nothing. We can't really get touched. Jolteon can't do anything either. We do see here the Jolteon's damage is not bad. 28% is not pathetic. We fire off our Return to end the game. So that's why I say, even if he had played really carefully with the Gothitelle, for example, and calm-minded right from the beginning, I would have just taken him out sooner with the Return. He had to Toxic to pressure me to rest, and then by that point, even if he'd started boosting, he would have had to either Shattered Psyche after the boosts or crit with the boost, or it would have just been really difficult for Gothitelle to have touched this set. He would have had to be played so carefully, and I would have had to misplay, I think, to be honest. So basically, Licky Licky just finally doing what it was supposed to do, getting set up, not getting any Spadef drops, not getting anything like that, just staying in, being fat and being unbreakable and cleaning up the rest of the field. Mariabella also coming through with the kill on Togetic, on Munchlax, and putting huge chip on Kabutops so that Sork could claim that kill. Mariabella really doing exactly what Swellow is supposed to do for once. Super happy with the way I played this one. Super happy with the build. Again, thank you to Sean for his help here. GG to my man Dreadful Dragonite. I don't think he played badly at all. I think he just had a terrible matchup against Licky Licky. I don't think there's much he could do about that. I think a lot of people in this league have a terrible matchup against Licky Licky, and that's just how it goes. This time I actually managed to play it right, and that's hard to deal with. So what I would say to him going forward, if he's watching, keep pushing, man, because I think you have an excellent chance of making playoffs. I think you have an excellent team, and I know it doesn't suit your playstyle, but it's good to learn new styles and try new things. It'll only improve your overall game. I myself am learning too, so hopefully we can keep learning and keep improving. All that being said, guys, next week we take on my man Pokemon Trainer Hakeem, aka Nico, aka the love of my life, aka the first friend I made here in the draft community. You guys know Nico, you know Pokemon Trainer Hakeem by now, I'm sure. He's done the ZU things with us. He's done Showdown things with us. We've battled him in Owl, where we won. We battled him in ABC, where he won. So we are 1-1 at the minute. This one is going to put one of us ahead of the other. And crucially, we are both now, I believe, going into this week, 3 wins and 4 losses. So we are both looking to break even this week. We are both in the same division looking to make playoffs, although I said the divisions aren't super relevant. But we're both looking to make playoffs and close ground on Checkmate Ben. So, if you guys are hyped for that one, let me know down in the comment section below. I know I am super excited to play Nico again. That will be up next week. I apologize as well if you're still here. I'm guessing you watch a lot of the videos, and I owe you guys an apology because uploads have been a little bit erratic and a little bit sporadic. I may drop an update talking about it, or I may wait for new LP content to talk about it. But there's just been a lot going on, medical stuff and uni stuff and all sorts of things. So I really apologize for the erratic kind of upload schedule, but I'm going to do my best to get back on track because we are pushing for playoffs in the LTC. We have ABC Season 2 right around the corner. We are doing super well in PIBA. All we can do is keep striving onwards, keep pushing, and hopefully get some good results. Anyway, guys, I hope you're hyped for the next battle. Thank you so much for loafing around with me, and I'll catch you again next time.